This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so yesterday we were discussing about something like case, until, and while loop. Now we will see what is array. So array is used for storing multiple values. Okay, so you can store multiple values in a single variable that is called array. So we will see how to define an array and how to fetch values from array, all those things. Okay, so let me write one example. Array1 dot sh bin bash. I'm just writing one array names equal to name1 space name2 space name3, like that. Okay, so this is basically an array. uh, if you want to know the number of elements, or if I want to print one particular element, so this is based on the position. So the first one is 0th position, second is 0th position means name 1, and first position is name 2, second position is name 3, and third. So the index start from 0. For arrays, index start from 0, that is we call as 0th position. So for first value we call the value at the 0th position, and first position, second position, and so on. So this names is the array name. So within from that array we can fetch certain values. So first we will see how to get that value. So let me just use, normally for fetching any value from a variable we use dollar names. Okay, okay, suppose if I just print, try to execute like this. Echo is the command that you use to print. So echo dollar names means chmod plus x array. See, that is printing the first element of the array. So if I just use this dollar names without specifying any argument, so in that case it will print the first value. Then basically we have to add the index. Okay, so like, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So I'm just using 2. I want the element at the second position, that is name 3. So I'm expecting name 3 to be printed, but this is incorrect syntax. So if I execute, what will happen is, see, name 1 of 2, something like that. That means, so dollar names is resolved first. Okay, so dollar names is the variable and that is resolved, and dollar names we have seen that value is 1. I mean name 1 of 2. So we got the result as name 1 of 2. So but if I want to exactly the value at the this position, so you need to use something like, so you know what is happening at this time. This is, this dollar names is resolving first, that is name 1, and of 2, that is not, that is having less priority. So in order to make this, so we will use this curly bracket to avoid that. In that case, we will see what is the result we are getting. So now we got name 3. So you should note down this, because normally if you are familiar with other programming language, so we follow that syntax, then that might cause an error, like, because here the first dollar followed by variable is resolved, then and that two indexes then also get printed. So in order to avoid that, we use a curly bracket between this name and index, so that it take that particular value. And if I want to print the element at the third position, I can just use echo dollar names of 3. If I do just this way, it will print name 1 of 3. You can see, right? So I need to, here also I need to use a curly bracket to avoid that. Use the
Tejas,
curly
what is the
bracket.
purpose? What is the purpose of using the curly brackets? Is there any?
No, no. Yeah, you have seen, right? With if you are not
Yeah.
using curly bracket,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. See, this is the one. My intention is to get the value at the third position, right? I mean, the
Correct.
third position means that is the fourth element name for, right? So if I print use like this, so what is the result we are getting here, right?
Okay.
The second value, name 1 of 3. So that means this is resolving dollar names. If I print dollar names, so you can see that here, right? See, dollar names means by default that will print the first element value, that is the name 1. So here what is happening is this dollar names will resolve first, then at 2 will print next. Is this clear?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah. Yes, it's not clear. Thanks.
okay. See, this is simple. I'll explain that here if you're having confusion. 1 second. Okay, I have an array. So this names, right? Don't know, this is not getting. So names equal to one second. Give me time. Give me a second. So now, so we have an array called names. I think it's not responding. Okay, let me come back here and show you that. See, normally, so names is an array, and that has values name1, name2, name3, name4. See, if you just print dollar names, so by default, that will print the first value in that array. Okay. And if you want a particular value to be printed, you need a dollar, then braces, then name of that array and the index. So this way you will get that value printed. Now let's create another array. So this is my array, and if I just print dollar fruits, so what it will print is not the entire array, so it will print just the first element. So that is what it will happen. Okay, so array 2, it will print that first element, right? So if I want one particular value to be printed, what I use is this curly bracket and then use that prefix 1, 2, 3, whatever the value which I need to print. So this one will print mango. So this is how it works. Suppose if you want to print all elements in an array, okay, so we have seen like this will print this first element, and if you want to print complete elements, what you can do is echo then dollar then fruits within the square bracket use at, then close the brace. Okay, so the same thing instead of the numbers, so we use the number 0 to uh, maximum, and that value will take the value from this list. But if you want everything to be printed, so instead of that number, use at symbol. So if I use at symbol, okay, and if I execute that array, yes, the second one, this is the one which I used with at symbol, and that is printing the complete element of array. You can just add that complete array is, okay, yeah, apple, mango, orange, and pineapple. And there is one more alternate option similar to at. You can use star also. Dollar fruits star this one. Okay. That is also printing in the same way. So here you can see if I use at or star instead of the index number, it will print the complete elements from the array. And also if you want to print one particular element, you can make use of that indexing and use that index to get the value. Next is if you want to know count of or number of elements in an array, so you can use that Okay, so let me use the same array like fruits, apple, mango, orange, pineapple, strawberry, right? So we have seen how to extract or how to get the values from an array one by one, or what are the values, and to get the complete array also we have seen. And now we will see how many number of elements in an array. Okay, so we use echo number of elements is dollar hash. Okay, so how do we get all elements in an array? Right, it's simple. Dollar fruits, then at symbol we use, right? So only thing is, just before that array name we put one hash. Okay, so this will give you the number of elements in this. So let me add this execution permission. Yes, number of elements is 5. Okay, so we have 5 elements. You can go through this, or if you want to get these elements and get printed, what you can use is like you can use any loop like while or anything. So I'm just assigning I equal to 0, then while $I less than or equal to, okay, less than or equal to number of elements. How do we get the number of elements? Dollar, then this will give you the number of elements. So that means we are always expecting, okay, we are using from 0 to the last index. Okay, so that is something like here I am using less than or equal to, then do, then echo value is dollar fruits of $I, right? But here also we need to have a braces, right? Then I need to increment the value of I by 1. I equal to, I use this expression expr $I plus 1. Then done. So this is the while loop. So while, check the condition. So condition what I am expecting is the value of I is less than or equal to this number of elements. Okay, I think less than, we need only less than, right? So it should be less than only, because if I have a 5 elements in the array, then I need only 4. I mean the index of strawberry is 4. Let me go ahead and execute this one. So array 3. Oh, okay, so that is nothing. Here I have a typo. Fruits. Right, so this is getting printed. So we have seen how to get the values from array. Okay, so how to define an array, and how to extract individual values, and how to get the count or how to print that, etc. So this is just a basic about array. So when we do some exercises and practice, so we will learn more about this array, and that time we will learn more. Okay, so now just understand array is something like the list of values, and in a variable we can store multiple values. So next we will see the very basic of awk. Then we will slowly move into in detail or in-depth explanation how this awk work. Okay. So let me open the new one. Awk stands for the people who developed Aho, Weinberger, and Kernighan. So these are the people who developed this. So this is kind of a mini programming language. Okay, and in Linux we have the command like awk, so which is used for text processing. So we can extract the values from the text using this command. Okay. I think I need to restart the system because okay, so we will talk a theory later. Okay, so let's understand how this awk works. So awk, like I said, it's a text processing tool, and we can extract the values from a text file. Okay, how this process is, so it take line by line. So by default, read line by line and do this processing on that line. So this is the default behavior, and from each line it will split into different pieces that is called fields, and each line normally we call as records. So record is something like an entity, entire entity that awk use once in a processing, and within a record there will be multiple fields. See, this is something like a in awk. Suppose awk is taking one record. So one record normally one line in a file. Okay, and each line will have a sentences or words separated with a space, right? So these are called fields. So this entire thing we call as records. Okay, so this is record and this is called field, and the fields may be separated with the space by default. This is all customizable, and record means the entire unit that it take once for a processing. So by default, record is a line by default. Again, we can change this record feature or fields feature by using lot of variables. So how awk work is, so awk normally take an input file, okay, or input file or a paragraph that contain list of statement, and it iterate through this each record in that file. So well, as I said, by default, record is a line. So it take one entire line and process. So from that entire line, what we are going to do? So we may be printing something, processing something, etc. And within the record, there will be values separated with the space. By default, the separator is space. Again, that is also customizable option. And to do that, in simple example, I'll show. So we have a file called cat. Okay, let me. So first field apple, then 1 kg, 170 rupees. 100 rupees. Okay, so this is a simple file. Okay, you can see this. It has got one, two, three lines, and each line is having uh, three words or uh, three words separated with the space. Like apple is separated one space 1 kg, then one space 170 rupees, like that. So how awk will work? So I will show you how this work. Awk print. We normally, there is something like awk, like I said. So awk is something like a mini programming language, but you can use that as a like programming language. We can write a file and compare and use that file as input to this awk and execute, or else at the runtime as a runtime command you can write. So awk print, see, dollars, or $1, $2, $3, like that. There is something like this one. So don't confuse this with the shell scripting $1. So this is in awk, it is something special meaning. So $1 means the first field. Like I said, the field is something like a that is separated with a space here. So this is one field, this is another field, this is third field, like that. So dollar followed by some number means that field it print. So that here it will print. So how, imagine how this output looks like. So I just use awk within the single quote, then curly bracket print $1 and closing that bracket, and then single quote ending, then input file. So how this work is $1 means the first field. So it take the first, it will print the first field. So does it print only banana or only apple, or apple, banana, strawberry? So it will print apple, banana, strawberry. The reason is the awk will iterate through these lines by line. Okay, so first take the first line and do this task. So what is my task? Print $1. So $1 is the first field. So for the first iteration, it's apple, and then it take the second record. So within the record, there are a lot of values that is separated with the space, that is called fields. Then from here also it will take first field, and here also first field. So the output looks like apple, banana, strawberry. And if I want second field, we can use that second. If I want third field, I can use 3. Is this clear? But you are
Yes,
seeing
yes.
like, yeah, you are seeing like as an output, you are seeing only the entire, from a entire paragraph, the first column is get printed. But actually what is happening here is it take record by record. So by default, record is a line, one line. So it take the first line at a time and do print $1. That means it will print the first field. From the second record, it also print the first field, third also, like that. And so just $1, $2, $3 are just like a field number. If I use $0, So that is an entire fields. Okay. So $1, $2, $3.
Suppose if you use multiple combination of the fields, you suggest. Suppose
Uh,
Apple 170k rupees something. First field and
yeah,
third field.
yeah, that is also we can use $1, comma, $2
Oh, okay.
or $3. We can use this comma separated,
Oh, nice.
whatever you want. Okay.
Yeah.
And also
Thanks.
if you want some string in between, you can just use like a, then use comma is something like a concatenation operator. So it will combine these two with a space, one space. Okay.
Yeah.
See, if I don't leave comma here, so nothing wrong here, but there is no space, right? If you put one comma, it will use a, I mean, leave a default space separator. Or if even in $1 and $3, if you are printing, if you're printing like this way, there is nothing, right? Even though you have space here, but you need to use one comma to get separated. Or you can have something like a double quote with a space that also leave the space. Okay.
Thanks.
And there are a lot of variables you need to remember. So this is the $1, $2, and NF. NF is a variable that store number of fields. Okay, so let me rearrange this input file. Okay, here, so in this case, so we have values, but the number of fields in each column is slightly different from one to another, right? See, but all other will work. $1, $2, $3, etc. will work. But if I use a $4, so that is having value only for another only one, right? Only two. If I use $5, I have only one available with 5 fields. Hmm? Uh, and also there is another variable called NF. So I just wanted to show you this variable. NF means this is a variable that will store the number of fields in a record. So our first record is Apple 1 kg 170 rupees. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Jesh.
Okay. So how awk will process is it will take the record by record. So record in the sense here it's a line by default. One line is one record, and within that record there will be lot of values that we call as fields, and fields are separated with space. And NF is a variable that will contain the number of fields. Like I said, awk will process line by line. So, or line by line in the sense here in the context I'm saying, but normally it's a record by record. So in our case, one record is one line, and NF variable will contain the number of fields. So it take the first line. Okay, here the number of fields 3. Apple 1 kg 170, that is 3. And here banana 2 kg 200 watt, that means 5 here, and here it's 4. Okay, so NF will store number of fields. See, if I want to get the last column, so I can just use the $NF. The reason is the number means 3. If $3 is here, $5 is here, right? So everything, the last field from all the records. Okay, that is about $NF. Is this clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So there are in awk like this, there are a lot of variables. So we need to go through this variable and process. Okay. Uh, so the next is we have a file called etc password. Hmm. But here the values are not separated with space. See, in awk, if you want one field to be printed, so just awk, then print $1. If I just use /etc password, see, this is printing entire thing. What I need is the first value till colon. So this is taking line by line. That is okay. So the record is the default line, but I need the separator to be colon instead of space. So $1 means it will print everything until it see a first space in a record. But here we have option to change that also. For that, what you use is use begin. Okay, so this code within the code itself. So we use uppercase begin. Yes, the default separator is space. So we call as fs field separator. Okay, so that we change to colon, and so like I said, awk will execute for every line or every record. But if you have something at the begin, so this begin clause, if you have something within the begin clause, it will execute. I mean, only the contents inside the begin clause will be executed only once. Whatever the contents inside this other brace, like we have a print $1, so that will be executed for each and every record. So here, so this is something like a global setting here under the begin clause. Now, if I just use, you are getting that value, only the first field. So if I just use comma $2, I am getting the second field. And if I just use $enough here, I will be getting the last field, each user and its login. And I can use like some fancy things here. See, each user and its a login. So these values I am getting from this etc password file, but basically these contents are separated with a colon. But awk's default separator is space that we change to colon by defining that in the begin clause, and variable is fs. Fs is a field separator. If you change the value of fs to something else, that it takes input based on that field separator.
Suggest we cannot write it in the program awk program like something like this. Earlier we written something right array dot sh file something. In the sh file we can implement the awk also, right?
Yes, yes, you can write it. But here,
Okay, okay.
normally this is a one-line code and all. That is the
Yeah,
reason
correct.
I've written
Uh,
in this line itself.
okay, I
Because
thought
we
only
will be
command prompt.
no, no, no. Whatever the things you are able to write in command prompt, you should be able to write from the file
SH file
also.
also. Okay,
Yeah,
SH file also. Yeah.
we will be using this along with the, I mean, as part of some other code. So maybe
Okay.
that you can use in inside your script. But
Yeah.
here we have only single line, so that is the reason I use this one directly as a command line itself.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the basic thing, and also it support a lot of things. We will see that also. Uh, okay, 20, 30, 50. 40. Okay. So these are the this is a value like so we have a value called marks. Okay. So here I think the last one extra line is that we don't want. Yeah. Okay. Here you can see the 3 lines. So student 1, student 2, student 3 all are separated with the comma. So my requirement is print student name like student 1, student 2, student 3 and the total mark he got, right? So that is also easy. So what I'm trying to say is it support numerical operation also. So what we do, so we have seen like the record is okay because we have to process line by line. So the default record is fine for us. And the field is something different here. So default field separator is space, but here we have our value separated with the comma. So what we do for inside the begin statement, we use field separator as comma. Then close that part. Then what we do, print $2. Okay, we will use like $1 because we need the then $2 plus $3 plus $4 plus $5, right? Then we will close this and marks. See, this is the total mark. And in between, if you want something fancy, student 1, so we will write within the this is all something I'm writing, and then one more comma and write, right? So that means so we can add these values together. So how this work is, so like I said, so the begin clause will execute only once. Okay. So this is the begin clause and this is the content. So the begin clause will execute only once for entire file or entire operation, but whatever this block, so curly bracket and ending curly bracket will be executed for each and every record or each and every line. Then we change that our record field separator as comma. So this operation will happen for each and every line. So print $1, that is a student name, it will print, and then total mark. Then after that total mark, then $2, 3, 4, 5. So these values will add together. I mean 20, 30, 50, 40. So these are added together and we will get that value here. 140, 140. Is clear? See, if you need only third record, you can just use that third record alone here. See, that is also okay. or if you just need the third and fourth adding to that, that is also okay. Yeah. There, for that, there is something called filter that you can apply. Okay. That I'll show you how this work. So if you just want to filter something on that, so you can do with this filter condition. So there a lot of things are there, like so based on if else everything will work inside the awk, like I said. So it's again a very vast topic, like a very big huge programming language. So this is a simple step thing. We will make use. Just we may sometimes we may, like you said, we may need to filter out something. Well, I'll just use some data. Okay, see cat slash etc password. So we need to find out the user's name and who all are using no login. So no login means these are the system specific ID, right? And whose username. So if somebody asks you to get that, so how do you do? Okay, so you need to get all the all the username or login name of the user whose shell is /admin no login. Okay, so no login is basically it won't let you to log in to that user, but that user might be used for some other services to work. So what you can use is awk, then you can just search with the no login. So that means what it will do, I'm just using the print $0 entire thing alone. Sorry, I need to input etc. Okay, see basically what it do is, so it process line by line or record by record, and so before printing this $0, it do a search. So within this backslash or slash, we have something that means it will try to compare that each line. So if that line is matching this thing, then only it take that line for processing. Okay, and similarly here also we can have like a print. If I just use a print $1 in this case, it will print everything. But here also I can have the begin statement, begin. Okay, I think fs equal to this colon. I can use that colon within here, then write this. So this also work. Okay, so normally we use our normal block. So normal block is something like with just a curly bracket, opening and closing curly bracket, that will be executed for each and every record, but the begin statement will be executed only once. I mean when it's begin to process. That whatever the variable setting or header printing and all we use in the begin statement. So I think we used earlier like Yeah, this is something, right? So this is here also I can have a begin. So I can have a print inside the begin also. Print fruit details. If I do, okay, so this I forgot to close this. That is the reason. See, the fruit details, this header is getting printed. That header has come from the begin. You can see only once it's get printed. Similarly, we have an end statement also, end. Yeah, you can see, right? Fruit details and right. So this is about a begin and end. So begin and end will only execute only once. So that is only at the beginning and end of the processing. But the normal block which is inside the opening and closing curly bracket will execute it for each and every record. Okay. Okay. This is a simple data employee.txt, employee name, their employee ID, and some salary something. And here I can also have the awk. Then within the begin, I can have the field separator. Here is comma, right? Then if I use the print $1, it will print uh, the name. But I just don't want the complete name. So I want the employee name whose salary is greater than 11,000 or greater than 10,000. So in that case, here also we can have the comparison. I think so $123. Okay, so $3 is greater than 10,000. Then only we'll need to process. Mm, okay. Yeah, sorry. So you can do the comparison. So this is something like a filter that we are adding just before the main block, not before the begin. So I don't think if I add this to begin, it will work or not. So $3. right? That is will give you a syntax error. So always use it before the main block. Or if I just use it's a less than this value, that is also who is having less than, and I can have the equality. Yeah, equality checking, that also I can do. So basically there are a lot of filter thing also we can integrate here, and whether matching or okay, and also here also this is okay. So we just need the people whose name is at least matching with the this P something starting with the PRA or something, or somewhere PRA in the name. That also we can do search like $1. So this is a matching thing, matching operator. Then PRA, that will give that username. Or if you want everything for that user, you can use $0. There are a lot more things. I'll show you those things one by one. Okay. So yeah. At least try to read some articles about awk and read lot more thing. Then while doing exercise, we will see lot more thing. And one more interesting thing that is also I'll show you. Uh, I will just add each person's department: engineering, IT, marketing. Okay. See, this is some simple input file, employee.txt. Okay. What I'm expecting here is, so my requirement is to find out the number of people who are working in marketing domain. So that also we can use awk, then begin. The record separator I need to keep as comma, right? Then use a semicolon, count equal to 0. Okay. Okay, I can write in the next line also. And $1, 2, 3, 4. So the $4 is matching with the marketing. Then what I am using is count plus plus. I can use a semicolon and add, otherwise okay, that is also fine. Then I can have an end statement. So like I said, end statement will execute it at the end, not for every record. Number of marketing is, I can use a comma, then count. In some syntax error. Okay. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. So sorry, not a record separator. So this is FS, right? Yeah, this is correct, right? So it was my mistake. RS, it should be FS. So the field separator is comma, then count. I'm just counting. I mean, within the bracket, you can see the count plus plus. Whenever this $4 is matching with the marketing, so this value get incremented by 1. Plus plus means that value will get incremented 1. So initially in the begin statement, I initialize that value to 0 and field separator as comma. Then for every match, it will be incrementing by 1. And finally, at the end, it's printing that. Hope this is clear, right? Okay. Then we will stop here now and we'll continue next week. Okay, so try to practice at least something. Also read as much as documentation, because awk is very vast. A lot of things are available. So we'll do a lot of exercise along with that. Then it will be much more. You will get much more clarity.
Suggest, can you please send me a link, and if you need document link, please send me the document link also.
Yeah, sure. I'll try to get that.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks. Thanks.
I'll upload this yesterday's video. I have uploaded. So this one also I'll do upload and we'll share.
Yeah, please send me the link, and send me some document link for the awk.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye. Bye. Yeah.